what gave everybody like, wow, the Bengals, they have hope, they can make it. And a lot of people thought the Chiefs were going to beat them as well, but they came through with that overtime like field goal kick. And it's kind of crazy that they got a rookie field goal kicker, and he's the reason they won a lot of their games.
Yeah. And going back to the offensive line, Joe Burrow against the Titans these playoffs, he was sacked 9 times in that game, and they still found a way to win. But that was off, some people would call it kind of lucky that, Ryan Tannehill throwing an interception. But I feel like luck is something you need in terms of being a winning playoff team. Luck is something that definitely needs to be on your side. And with that point, we're going to transition to commercial break. We'll talk more after the commercial break. We'd also, before we go to commercial, we'd like to remind you to tune in next Friday, February 18th at 10 a.m. for a glimpse at the 2022 senior films. We talk with the student filmmakers and we'll see first looks at each film. The 2022 Senior Film Fest pre-show live on Facebook and YouTube next Friday at 10 a.m. We hope you tune in.
Welcome to AVP, Audiovisual Production.
There's a lot you learn in this class, but most of the fun comes from your creativity. Every day starts the same with our daily check-in with Mr. Nadell, where we just talk about our day. Sometimes check-ins can be really funny, people get pretty animated.
Projects aren't hard. Most of the time he gives us projects on stuff we learned so we understand the material, and get familiar with the lumixes. They're super high quality, same with our broadcast equipment. We've got this red camera, and I just remember the first time I saw it, I would not stop mentioning it to my family. Did you know AVP has a red camera?
We get our own booth where we do all our editing. We use softwares like Adobe Audition, Adobe Premiere, GarageBand, the works.
We do a broadcast every other week. It's a little stressful, but it taught us to work as a team, I think.
You're really like a family in here. You watch people grow.
Everyone in this class is so different, but with what we do, we really learn to get along and branch out. And we do things we never thought we'd do.
You are always excited for the next project and the next broadcast.
Out of the options that I had, it was either this or graphics in the end, so I've always had a passion for movies and cinematography and all that, so other than that, I just really felt like I would have fun here, so that was the choice.
Both seasons good. I really enjoy it. It gives me a lot of time off from actual classes at school to just come here, relax, do what I like to do, and then just go about on my day. So I really like it. It's great.
I would like to accomplish being able to run my own podcast and being able to edit videos very smoothly without any rough cuts or any bad edits.
I haven't been in AVP too long, but if I had to pick one word to describe the class, it would be informative.
Engaging. So much fun.
Welcome back to AVP's Up for Discussion, a Super Bowl special. We're going to get right back into football. This is the second year in a row that the Super Bowl has been played at a home stadium with one of the contesters. Like last year was the first time ever that it was played at a home field with the Buccaneers, and now this year it's being played in LA at SoFi Stadium with the Rams.
And that's a good point, but with the Bengals, and being a low seed in this in this postseason, they have shown that they can win on the road. They can go into one of the most loudest stadiums, Arrowhead Stadium, and beat down 3 or 4 touchdowns and come back and win the game. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't think being on the road plays an effect to the Bengals, because they've proven this whole postseason that they can win in the playoffs. I mean, on the road.
Something that I think does play a factor in this is that they're all very young. There's only one concurrent player on the Bengals that has the Super Bowl experience. So I definitely think, even though Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have gone to a Super Bowl, national championship together, that doesn't compare to a nationwide Super Bowl.
Yeah, I definitely think it helps, but it doesn't compare almost, because these football players, they spend once they decide football is what they want to do, they spend their entire all their free time, all their life is to put on that ring. So just to be in this situation in Jamar Chase's rookie year, Joe Burrow's second year, and be in this position to go and win and put that ring on is what every NFL player looks forward to and what upcoming college players are working for.
But I mean, you say that you bring up the point that only one person on the Bengals have been in a Super Bowl before, but this is Matthew Stafford's first Super Bowl. He, like Xander said earlier, he just kind of suffered in Detroit because Detroit has just historically not been very great. And in 1 year with the Rams, he's been able to take them to a Super Bowl. I mean, obviously he has targets, and that helps him out. But if you have good targets, but you don't have a really good quarterback to throw the ball to them, then you're not really going to win very many games.
Right. And with Matthew Stafford having Cooper Kupp, he kind of had that same little relationship with Calvin Johnson back in Detroit. And him and Calvin Johnson put up crazy numbers, but so did him and Cooper Kupp. Because Cooper Kupp was only 18 receiving yards short of breaking Calvin Johnson's record. So, I mean, it shows that Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback, and he always has been. He's just kind of been drowned by the people around him, and he really hasn't been able to show that. And to come into a brand new team your first year and take them to a Super Bowl with a brand new group of guys, and to do that, I mean, that's impressive itself.
Yeah.
Not only what Joe Burrow did, but it's also just, you have to kind of like, it's equally impressive what both of them have done. You know what I mean? With Joe Burrow being so young and taking the Bengals to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then Matthew Stafford coming in and doing it in 1 year. I mean, that's impressive itself.
I think they're both very deserving quarterbacks, and I think because and I mean, obviously, unless you're a Bengals fan or a Rams fan, you're not really going to be that unhappy with the result, because it would be nice to see Matthew Stafford, who spent so long in Detroit, and just kind of didn't get to show his stuff. And then Joe Burrow is obviously a rookie who had a really bad injury that took him out for the rest of the season last season. So it'll be nice to see both of them perform, and obviously only one of them can win, which it's going to be great seeing one of them lose, but it's also going to be sad seeing one of them, not win.
I get that. And I think what I'm most excited to see is they have some of the best talent in the league on their teams. I mean, from last night's NFL honors, I mean, I think 4 different people from each, between the two teams were picked for something. So it's impressive to see. I think I'm most excited to see the Jalen Ramsey Jamar Chase matchup, because I think, like I said before, that defense is where their Rams are going to get their edge. And if they can slow down Jamar Chase and make Joe Burrow and pressure Joe Burrow to have him to get out of the pocket and Jamar Chase not be open and have to look to other options, I mean, that's gonna play a big role. Now, don't get me wrong, he will find his other options 100%. I have no doubt in my mind. But if they can lock up those options, then it might make him crack under the pressure a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
And going back on talking about how getting a new team proves your skill, OBJ, he was on the Browns and he gets traded to the Rams, and he just shows everybody what he really had.
yeah, I agree, and I think Baker Mayfield had the whole league and everyone that watched football convinced that OBJ was washed. He was no good, but he comes in with a talented quarterback, a great coaching staff, and shows that everyone that he's not done. He's coming for a Super Bowl, and he's going to play his heart out to win it. And I think every player on these teams are going to play their heart out to win it, because they're each in a situation where it's we haven't really seen this. We haven't really seen a second-year quarterback win a Super Bowl. We haven't seen one guy come from a team, take them to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's it's going to be exciting to watch.
It's a very unique Super Bowl situation. I mean, for years we've had to, suffer watching Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, or now Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But we've had the same, boring Super Bowls. It's, Patriots made it again, and then Tom Brady goes to the Buccaneers, and Buccaneers made it, of course. but now it's two very up-and-coming, hungry teams that are ready to raise that Lombardi Trophy
100%.
at the end of Sunday.
I think this is where if the Bengals get this win, even if they don't, this is where they start their franchise. This is where they start winning. This is where they become a top team in the league with all this talent they have. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Win or lose, I think this is an ultimate win for the Bengals because of what it's going to do down the road. It's going to put some respect on their name. People are going to understand that the Bengals are competitors. And same with the Rams. The Rams have always kind of been that, like, you know what I mean? But now, win or lose, they're going to show that they have the talent with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, OBJ. And they're going to show that they're the real deal and they can compete.
Even with, like you said, with the Bengals, it's a win or lose situation. Like, even if they lose, it's still like a win for their league. I'm excited to see, like, what they can do next year, like how they can, if they're going to come out of the Super Bowl in the start of next season, like just as strong as they were this season at the end of it. And it raises my hopes to see what they can become.
100%. Let's talk about the defenses a little bit. Like I said before, the Rams definitely have the stronger defense. But I think the Bengals have shown before they can get the stops when they need. With the pick against the Chiefs, they got that big stop there, got the ball, went down and kicked the field goal. I genuinely think the Bengals defense will step up if they need to, if the game gets close, and the Bengals defense will step up and get a stop, and get a big stop, and it's going to be exciting to watch because no one can sit there and say Rams are going to blow them out, Bengals are going to blow them out. So nobody really knows who's going to win. So it's going to be exciting to watch.
Obviously, me as a Bengals fan, I'm hoping that the Bengals can win this, but I think it's kind of favored for each team. Like it's going to be a really close game. I think they'll hold each other, and I don't think anybody's really like for sure on what team's going to win it.
Right.
I mean, the NFL.com poll, it was pretty, like, it was maybe 5% difference favoring the Rams, but it's not like nobody can really predict it, and the people that want to, it's very balanced. The nobody really is like you said, nobody is saying all the Bengals are going to blow them out, all the Rams are going to blow them out. It's going to be, I hope, at least as a spectator, I hope it's going to be a very close game, but I think it will be. I think it definitely will be. I think both teams are very talented, and I think because after the Bills and Chiefs game, and how everything that happened there, the Bills really proved themselves that they're competitors and they're hungry, and I think the Bengals did the same in the Chiefs game, where they were down 3-21 in Arrowhead. They had just they were just not looking very good, and then they somehow found a way to crawl back and win the game, even despite Kansas City winning the overtime coin toss.
And I think that's like, that'll help if it comes down to the Super Bowl, because being able to go into Arrowhead, pull out a win, get the stops when you need to, slow down Patrick Mahomes. Mind you, defense and offense played like garbage. So, but to be able to do that, whether they play like garbage or not, and come out with the win is impressive itself. But
yeah, I'm 100%. I'm excited to see how this game plays out. But with that being said, we have another commercial, and we'll see you right afterwards.
But before we go to commercial break, we want to remind you once again to tune in next Friday, February 18th at 10 a.m. for a glimpse at the 2022 senior films. We'll talk with the student filmmakers and see first glimpses at each film. The 2022 Senior Film Festival pre-show, live on Facebook and YouTube next Friday at 10 a.m. We hope you tune in.
There's so much that goes into being a chef, more than just cooking and producing a dish. It's about everything that happens in the kitchen, from start to finish, from cleanup to end, to customers, to the products that you work with. So there isn't one specific answer. Anyone can call themselves a chef, but it really depends on where you are, what you're doing, and the area that you're in. I love working here. As you can see, they redid the dining room for me, so it has a restaurant feel. I've always been in the restaurant business my whole life, and I love working in the industry.
Welcome back to AVP's Up for Debate, a Super Bowl special. We're going to get right back into football with talking about how Cincinnati's only been to the Super Bowl 2 times, and both times were in the 1980s against San Francisco. They haven't won yet, but I thought it was it was kind of cool seeing that San Fran almost made the Super Bowl against the Rams. It was kind of a close game, and if they would have gone to the Super Bowl with the Bengals, it would have been a rematch again, but I'm happy that the Bengals are even there in the first place.
And that's a big thing. I'm finally happy to not have to hate the Bengals because they're so bad. You know what I mean? They're finally making a name for themselves. They're finally not the joke of the league anymore. And I think they'll continue to make a name for themselves and move themselves up, you know what I mean, as a franchise. But
also, going back to sort of the Rams' history, the last time they were in a Super Bowl was the one against the Patriots, and it was the lowest scoring Super Bowl in history. It was pretty boring, and and obviously the Patriots won that game. But the last time they actually won a Super Bowl was in 1999. It was that preseason. Their star quarterback that they had just, their starting quarterback was injured in the preseason, and he was out for the season, carted off the field. And they had to bring in this lowly backup, Kurt Warner. And then he led that team to a Super Bowl victory. They made the tackle 1 yard short of the end zone, and then that spawned the greatest show on turf, which was Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, just so many offensive playmakers. And I think that having so many offensive playmakers definitely helps. I mean, both the Bengals and the Rams have amazing offensive playmakers, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. They have a very great offense. Defense, I think the Rams have a little bit of an edge. And like he said earlier about the Bengals offensive line not being very great, and then having the Rams, a dominant defense like the Rams, I think the Rams definitely have an edge. But yeah, offensive playmakers definitely make a difference.
Mm-hmm. And going back on a little bit more of history, the last time the Bengals were in the playoffs in general was 2015. So that was 6 years ago. And that to me is kind of like, it shows how long of a break they had before they even made the playoffs. And then they get in the playoffs and go Super Bowl, like straight to Super Bowl. And in 2015, it was against the Steelers. It was the first round, and they lost. And that was actually what ended Shazier's career, unfortunately. But it's just it's crazy that as soon as they make the playoffs after 7 years, they go straight Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think they have a lot of pressure on them from that, because the fans of Cincinnati have a lot riding on them, or like really excited. There's a lot riding on this Bengals team, and I think they're just taking that in and just using it to play good, because I mean, to come in and be the Bengals. Because I think everyone can agree the Bengals before have not been a very good team. Mm-hmm. But to come in and go, like you said, straight to the Super Bowl it's just impressive. And with this new generation of quarterbacks, with like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, all these mobile quarterbacks, and to see it play a role and come in effect, because with Joe Burrow, because he's been pressured all through this playoffs, because his offensive line is lagging a little bit. You know what I mean? They don't have everything they need. So he has to get out of the pocket and make these throws, and to be able to do that is going to definitely for sure help, not only in the Super Bowl, but in the future.
Yeah, and going back to before the commercial, when we talked about how it's being played at home field, nobody expected this mashup at the Super Bowl. And which kind of, I think it's a little bit unfair that it's being played at their home field, because people in LA probably knew that it was being played at Sophie Stadium, and they bought tickets just because it was close to them, and they didn't know the next time that would happen, and they were most likely probably Rams fans because they lived there, and like you said with the Chiefs, even though the Bengals, they have proved that no matter what, like even on your home field with everybody rooting against you, they can still pull through and win. So I'm excited to see how that plays out, but I guarantee you all the Super Bowl tickets that haven't been bought before in LA were definitely bought by Rams fans.
Yeah. I think that going back to the mobile quarterbacks, I mean, a few decades ago, mobile quarterbacks were unheard of. Well, yeah, they were pretty much unheard of. There was a few exceptions like Michael Vick, Dante Culpepper, Randall Cunningham. There were some mobile quarterbacks, but they always came with the risk of sort of the absolute, cannons for arms, but then they really couldn't get it to their guy. But now, as we've seen Tom Brady recently retiring, and over the last few years, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, a lot of these guys retiring from that previous era, we're now seeing a new era of quarterback and a new era of team. A lot of young players, and it's really, I think the Bengals team, being so young, encapsulates what the NFL is now. Very young, and I know in a couple of the games these playoffs with these young quarterbacks, a lot of the commentators have been making points about how these are where legacies are made. These are where these types of games are where we're going to find the new Tom Brady, the new Peyton Manning, the new Drew Brees. We're going to find new versions of these old legends.
And not only with the mobile quarterbacks and the quarterbacks that can move, we're seeing it in other positions with Deebo Samuel, who can run the ball and then go down the field and catch the ball. It's turning into a different league, and it's exciting to see. I don't think football's ever been this exciting to watch, with Tyreek Hill, who can just take a dead sprint and beat anybody in the league, or Julio Jones, who can jump 4 feet off the ground and get up there and make a catch. I mean, it is really, really fun and jaw-dropping to watch football these days. With Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball when he's not even looking at the guy, or throw it with his left hand. It's really exciting to watch these young people make these impressive plays and kind of shape the NFL into the new football, because nobody's just standing there, and nobody wants to stand in the pocket anymore and just wait till someone gets home, and they just want to run around and have fun, and that's what it is. They're having fun, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how plays against like the somewhat older with their different play styles. But with that being said, what is your guys' predictions on what you think the Super Bowl score will be?
I think it's going to be 24-21 Bengals. I think it's going to come down to a very last second field goal.
I'm going to have to go 28-25, Rams getting a big stop on defense.
I agree with Noah. I think it'll be 21-24 with the field goal for the win. And hopefully it is, with their rookie kicker to prove his talent.
He definitely has done it before.
But with all of that being said, I thank you guys so much for watching and hearing our thoughts on the Super Bowl.
But before we go, we want to remind you one last time to tune in next Friday, February 18th at 10 a.m. for a glimpse at the 2022 senior films. We talk with the student filmmakers and see first looks at each film. The 2022 Senior Film Fest pre-show live on Facebook and YouTube next Friday at 10 a.m. We hope to see you there. And thank you very much for watching.